Hello again, everyone. Today's video is going to be on light source, and I'm going to show you examples of where a light source can come from with various visuals and examples. Now, as with all my other videos, I'm going to assume that you've had some exposure to the topic of a light source. So this is again another type of review video. This is a video that you can use to kind of reinforce what your background knowledge is on light source, or if you're new to the topic of a light source, then this is a very good way to get some foundation on light source. Okay, so what is a light source? A light source is any object that gives out light. So just think of it as being in the dark. It's pitch black. There's nothing that you can see. Then all of a sudden there's a light. There's a flash. Even if it's just for several seconds, that's a light source. So if it goes from completely dark to even just a little speck of light, something is causing that light. Okay, so that's a light source. Let's take a look at some objects here that could be a light source here. So we've got the moon, mirror, a firework display, fire, a torch or a flashlight as I call it, sun, lamp, and diamond. So which things are a light source? And again, this creates light, okay? It generates light. So if we look at the moon, again, we're trying to figure out, is it a light source? Does it create light? Well, the moon actually does not create its own light. It would be considered not a light source because it does not create the light. It's basically the sun is reflecting off the moon and giving off light. So in that sense, it is not a light source because it is not creating its own light. It is reflecting it from the sun. The mirror is also not a light source because, again, if you have maybe a flashlight or something and you could see the reflection of it, that would not be the source. The mirror would not be the source, I'm trying to say, for the light. Okay, so a mirror would not be considered a light source. A firework display is considered a light source because it does create its own light, even though it's only for several seconds, because it explodes or pops. It does create light. It's generating it itself. So a firework display is considered a light source. Fire is a light source, as we all know, because you can see things in the dark with the fire, and it can burn for quite a while depending on how strong the fire is. So fire is considered a light source. A torch here, or a flashlight as I call it, is also a light source because once you hit the power switch to turn it on, it is creating its own light. So the light is coming from the flashlight. The sun as well is also considered a light source because it gives off light for us to see things during the day. A lamp is also a light source as well because, as with the flashlight, if you turn the power switch on, it creates its own light that allows you to see things in a room or in a hallway or in your house like that. The last one here, a diamond, is not considered a light source because it does not create its own light. If you shine a light through it, it can illuminate or give off light, very similar to the moon, but again, it's not creating its own light source. So these are just some objects I wanted to show you about a light source. Now let's go ahead and look at some other examples of a light source. So an example of a light source is natural light. Now, natural light are light sources that we find in nature. So for example, here you've got a glowworm. This is something that it makes its own light. It's also a living animal. It's a being, a creature, and it's able to create its own light. And we can find it outside in nature, in the woods, or maybe in some bushes or something like that. So this is an example of natural light here. Now, artificial light is another example of a light source. And an artificial light are light sources that man made. So these are man made lights. Okay, so this match is not going to create its own light unless we basically ignite it. We have to, rub it up against the box to get it to light. So that's an artificial light. It does create its own light, but it needs a person to ignite it or to light it in order for it to give off a light source. So those are considered artificial lights. So looking at this flashlight or torch, if that's what you want to call it, is this considered natural or artificial light? As I discussed earlier with the glowworm and the match, which one does it which one can create light on its own and which one has to have a way to turn it on? So a flashlight here, it won't turn on, it won't give off any light unless it's turned on by hitting the power switch. So that's considered artificial light. Now the sun, is that considered natural or artificial light? Again, does it need a power switch? Does it need a power source? Does it need a switch to turn it on? No, it generates its own light. So the sun here is natural light. So this is actually a fluorescent light, and if you're not familiar with it, it's something you would find in your house, usually on the ceiling. So would that be considered natural or artificial light? And again, like a torch or flashlight, it is a artificial light because it needs to be turned on in order to give off the light. As with this lamp, natural or artificial, we know that the lamp here is also an artificial light because, like the fluorescent light I just showed you before this, it needs to be turned on. You have to turn the power switch on or plug it in here, as I'm showing you, in order to give off the light. So that's artificial light. This is a firefly here. So looking at this, we know it's a living being. It's a firefly. So would this firefly be considered natural or artificial? Does it need a power switch? Do you need to press something on it to turn it on? Or can this firefly create its own light? And as you know, it can create its own light. So a firefly would also is natural light. It makes natural light. Lightning, again, do we need a power switch to make lightning? Do we need to flip something on or plug something in to make lightning? No. It can create its own light, hence the name lightning. So it is considered natural light. Not all bright objects are light sources. Some objects reflect light from the light sources around them. For example, and I mentioned this earlier, the moon reflects the light from the sun. So while the perception is, yes, you can see it in the night. If you're walking in the woods, the moon does give off light. It's not considered a light source because it is not making that light up itself. It's being reflected from the sun and giving off that light. Okay, so that's why, remember, this topic is what makes light a light source. So could be a bit confusing because you're thinking the moon, if you're walking at night, the moon gives off light, you can see things on the trail. Yes, but it does not create its own light, not natural or not by a switch or a power or by plugging it in. Okay, so that's just something I wanted to address with you, okay, to try to avoid some confusion. So let's go ahead and take a look at the bonus activity now. So here's the bonus activity. And again, we're going to be talking about sources and uses of light. And the directions say, write the name of each object in the correct column of the table. So I'm not going to go through and read all of these again, but I'm going to circle them here. So you're going to take all of these objects here that could potentially be a type of light source, and you're going to put them in the correct column on this table here. Okay, so I will go through the three parts of the column here. So the first one here is not light sources. So you have to look at, again, the words here and decide if it's not light sources. The middle one here is natural light sources. And then the one on the far right here, the third one here, is artificial light sources. So again, you're going to take all the words above this table and then put them in the correct category. Okay, so this is just one bonus activity I have. And I have a second bonus activity for you here. And the directions here say, how is light being used in each picture below? Choose from these words here. And I'm not going to say the words, but I'm going to circle them for you here. So you basically have to decide, where do these words go here for A, B, C, and D? So looking at the four choices, put them in the correct picture that fits its description here. Okay, so these are just a couple of bonus activities I have for you on the topic of light source. And as always, if you choose to do it, that would be awesome. Now I know you can't, if you don't have a printer, again, just try your best to draw the photo or just write the letter, and then you can just put the answer, since I'll have this available for myself. So if you like to give it a shot and try it out, but you're not, maybe have access to a printer, no worries. Just draw, just write the letters with the answer, and that'll be sufficient. And that'll do it for today's video. And as always, I appreciate you guys spending part of your day here with me and watching my videos. And if there's anything you'd like to see, just let me know. And I look forward to seeing you for my next video. Thank you once again for joining in today's lesson. Please message me through Facebook Messenger, or you can email me at jollyformore@gmail.com to learn more about my online tutorial service. Please leave a comment down below. If you know someone interested in hiring an online tutor, share this video. And if you would like to get a bell notification for all my newest videos, please subscribe to my channel. I look forward to seeing you again in my next video. And until then, please be safe out there. Have a great day.